Welcome to the International Authors Expo Replay Series. My name is Teresa Page, and I am the host and the facilitator of this new special event. Teresa K. Page, LLC, established the International Authors Expo as a celebration of literature that allows authors, speakers, and book readers to engage in masterclass workshops, Q&A panels, as well as author meet and greets in a virtual environment. So what was our goal of this event? This new initiative is designed for my fellow authors to broaden their reach and to share their God-given message in diverse parts of the world, to sell their books, goods, and services in an online exhibit space, share their signature talks to educate published and aspiring authors the practical tools of success, answer questions regarding their personal writing journeys, enhance their brand awareness, as well as increase the probability of a viable return on investment. So I want to say thank you for joining us for this first voyage. Now relax and let's move forward as you listen in to hear our special headliners and our featured panelists. Let's get down to business. All right, so everyone, we're starting to downshift in our masterclass session of our expo on today, because we want to get you out so you're able to engage with all of the authors directly, face to face, to learn more about them. But before we do that, we're going to have a very quick authors panel. So if anyone has any special questions or anything that you want to ask any of our authors, or even pose just to the panel altogether, I want you to go ahead and start putting your questions in the chat. So at this point, we're going to bring all of our speakers. If you're not on camera, all of our speakers come on back on camera at this particular point. And while they're doing that, I need to introduce two extra special people that is joining us, that's actually just joining us for the panel on today, and will be in the exhibit hall. And I'm going to share my screen. Everyone, you all have been looking at the gentleman with a nice background, the nice background with the blue and his nice book in the back. I want you all to give it up for Bhag, I believe I said it correctly, Bhag Mirchandani. And so he is a first-time author. He is going to be joining us on our panel in just a few moments to kind of share some of his experiences as a new author as we begin to engage with our authors. And so just really quickly, coming to our authors Q&A stage, in addition to our other featured speakers, is Bhag Mirchandani. Now, Bhag, as I mentioned, is a first-time author. He helps others develop good financial habits and responsible money management. Bhag is joining us for his very first authors panel, so this is brand new for him as well. So we're really excited about that. And he will also be in our exhibit hall to showcase his journey and his new book. So let us put our hands together for the man that knows how to strike a balance with personal finance, Bhag Mirchandani. So he'll be on the panel in just a moment, so we'll get a chance to meet him. And so he's the only bit of testosterone we got on this stage today, so I am very glad that he's with us on today. All right, and so also coming to our panel, in addition to our other masterclass speakers on today, I want you all to meet Lindsy Bivens. She is the publisher and consultant of the Author's Pen, LLC, and she specializes in helping purpose-driven leaders turn their stories into books that build legacy, impact, and income. So Lindsy is joining us on our authors panel, and she will also be in our exhibit hall to showcase her expertise and her books as well. So let's also put our hands together for the lady with the right mix of intellect, creativity, and inspiration, Miss Lindsy Bivens. Awesome, awesome. So Lindsy, Bhag, in addition to all of our other speakers, I'm asking that you all will make sure that you are on camera Okay. And that's why I don't see any questions just yet in the chat, everyone. But I'm gonna go ahead and get kick us off because we're going to get started with jumping into our breakout sessions with our authors and our speakers and all of that. And so just really quickly, just to get us all going, and we want to do a quick round robin for all of our speakers and everyone. I want you to introduce yourselves. Just say your name, what your book is about, and maybe share with us what was the motivation to make you put your message down on the page and actually start writing a book. So Bog, I want you and Lindsay to kind of kick us off first with that response. Tell us about your book and what inspired you to actually start writing. So I'm going to start with you, Bog.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. All right. Well, first of all, I just want to say hello to everyone. It was so nice to see all of you and to hear the different presenters. Amazing, amazing content. So thank you so much. Real quick, in case anyone doesn't know how to pronounce my name, it's Bog. And I always like to joke, like, I may be Bog, but I won't bog you down. So yeah. Regarding my book, so it's about personal finance tips, and because that's something I'm truly passionate about. There's so much more I'd want to say, but I want to be mindful of this time. And essentially, it's kind of a funny story why I started writing this book. It turns out I was actually in quarantine during COVID, and I'm coming to you halfway across the world from Hong Kong. I'm actually really burning the midnight oil here. But if some of you may know, during the time of the quarantine, it was very famous that Hong Kong has some of the most strictest and the worst quarantine rules, where you were essentially stuck in a hotel for 3 weeks and you had a quarantine. It was rigid. You couldn't even step out. So I just told myself, okay, like, I'm really passionate about personal finance, and this is something that I wanted. It was more of a passion project than something that I wanted to actually take as a challenge to follow through. So in those 3 weeks when I was holed up, it was pretty sad. During Christmas, when I was holed up in a hotel room, I said, I have an option. I can either binge watch Netflix and just eat a bunch of junk food, or I can do something productive with this quiet time. And so at that time, I came across some YouTube videos that talked about like passive income, as well as making money that allows you to scale. So I just thought of, okay, like, I can make a ebook or a book that is something that I can scale, and it just turned out to be a passion project, to be honest. And eventually I just got that idea, and then I said, I'm going to go with it. And a few months later, I was able to publish my book. I'll be happy to tell you all more about it if you're interested, because I have my journey from the time I actually published. I went through a lot of hardships. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So if you're interested, feel free to ask me any questions about my author journey. This book my focus here is not just to talk about personal finance, but also about my journey. So I hope I was able to answer your question, and nice to meet all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bog. Thank you. Thank you. And you all can engage and learn more about his story when we go into our breakout into his exhibit space. So Lindsay, tell us about your work, and also share with us what has been your inspiration behind all that you do. And I believe I need to give you access to share. So to come off mute, one moment. All right, you should be good to go. And yes, you'll
Okay,
just
you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to just hop on and share a little bit, Teresa. And thank you to all of the amazing speakers thus far. I truly enjoyed everything that was shared. In terms of a little about me and my inspiration, so I have authored a book before. I wrote my first kind of project similar to the last gentleman, Bog. It was kind of a passion thing. Never intended to write books, and here, fast forward to publish books at this stage of my life. It really just began as a journaling process for me. I was coming out of a domestic violence type of relationship. I was rebuilding my life. And a part of that healing process for me was journaling. And, my journal entries kind of rhymed a bit, and it was very kind of cathartic, me sharing my life. And after some time, as I went back to that very personal journal, I decided to publish it, hired someone to help me get the work done. It was a beautiful process, but shortly after completing the book, things kind of just fell flat. I didn't know what to do after that. And that experience was the thing that began to kindle this fire in me to help create a process or an experience for people who are just like me, right? New authors, a lot of times there is this natural thing that happens where they're just not educated on what to do, overwhelmed by so many options about not only how to publish, now that self-publishing is a thing. At the time, that was 2011. So I think self-publishing was still fairly new, not as widely accepted. But here we are, kind of 2025. People can quickly and easily publish content, but there's still this gap between, publishing. Even AI written content is a thing now. But what to do with all of the stuff? How do you build it around purpose? How do you build that and create not only strategy, but how do you execute the strategy you come up with? So that's kind of the lane that I'm in currently. I am so blessed to support authors, people who not only want to write, but want to build something beyond just having published a book, people who have mission in mind, people who have, businesses in mind. I think there's maybe one or two other speakers kind of alluded to that. So I'm in a similar space. I absolutely love, I think the transformative piece of it is the thing I love most about this journey. Seeing people's lives truly transform, seeing doors open for them, seeing people get major opportunities because they were courageous enough to tell their story and to present it and package it in a way that other people can really be transformed by it. So again, I'm Lindsy Bivens. Really quick, just to share, in the program, I know I wasn't one of the main speakers, but wanted to point your attention that there is a complimentary gift kind of within the bio piece there for the first 5 moves to market your book like a pro. So that's a free download for anyone who's interested. And please come check me out in the breakout session. I'd love to meet you guys. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for sharing. Just real quick, Denise Renee, I know that you made mention that you just finished writing your book. You actually started on it in 2019 and all of that. What was, and you may have already talked about it a little bit in your talk, but just really quickly, in about 30 seconds, can you talk about what was your motivation to let's go ahead, let's move forward, let's drop this in 2025?
So the motivation in 2025 was that, as I said in my talk, the book that I started writing it then, and it didn't fit my business then. But as I evolved, actually I paused, but as I evolved, the book actually fits my business now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And that's pretty cool. Now, I want to, Sabine, now I know that you have one of your books become powerful, and you also have some other books that you have written. And even though you specialize with helping us being able to book stages and all of that, can you share with us what was your motivation with writing the books that you have done thus far?
Well, it started out by just the sheer determination to help my students. As I shared in my presentation, not everybody was here earlier. I saw the aspiring performers, some were successful and others not. What's the difference? And so I wrote a workbook for them that then turned into a book that I published, so more people would be available to get that. And then it led to my next book because I started speaking on different stages and people wanted to have a book. And it was not related to acting. So I wrote my second book, Unlock Your Full Potential, 10 Easy Steps to Live the Life You Imagine, in which I took the principles that apply also to actors, to anybody. And that was my second book. My third book that I currently have is Become Empowered. And that was coming out of my podcast. I have a podcast called Become Empowered, and I interviewed individuals from all walks of life sharing their story of overcoming adversities and how they get through it. And my aim was to share that you're not alone. People are not alone in that. Many have to overcome those things. And that became very successful. I couldn't take any more people on my podcast. So, okay, what's the next step? How can I have another modality? And then that led to a book. So I invited 12 women with powerful stories to share. And I also used my storytelling abilities to help them edit everything and share it in a way that is powerful. And and that turned out to Become Empowered, Echoes of Grace and Strength, real life stories of women's transformation and triumph. And this is a powerful book because it is short stories. It's like a coffee table before you go to bed to keep you inspired. And then the current book that's not yet released, but the title is Gumption. That was accidental. I was at a conference earlier this year in January, and I interviewed a couple people, and they interviewed me, and I shared my story and everything else. And then one person that interviewed me, she said, Sabine, you need to write a book. And I said to her, well, I already wrote 3 books. She said, no, you don't understand. You gotta write your book, your stories, your biography. And then, listen up, then something got into my gut, into my intuition. So it was in the back of my mind. I said, not time yet, not time yet, not time yet. We push it away, right? So, but I'm always open through that journey to listen to my intuition and see what's happening. That same day, I was in the Expo hall and there was a publisher and there was a sign that says, pitch your book and we give you feedback. And then I thought, well, I don't have a book, but well, let me just see what they say about it. So the next day, I had a 15-minute session with the head publisher, and I shared a couple stories. And then there was silence. I thought, was it not good? And then a person responded, Sabine, you're a good storyteller, but I have to tell you, there were moments I had to hold back my tears. You got to write this book. And now, 6 months forward, I wrote my first draft. I sent it out to my editor. Well, actually, on the spot, I got a book deal with a publisher right there and then. And it was very scary, to tell you the truth, even though I've written books, I self-published, but was the next step up. And I just went for it, walking the talk. You don't know how yet, just do it. And here I am, and that's going to be the next book that comes out. Gumption, because that's what you have to move forward in life.
Absolutely. I love that, Sabine. And thank you so much for sharing. You mentioned something about, there were so many clients that you could take on, and you decided to do then a different modality by sharing your message in a book so that you're able to serve a wider audience. This is for the 2 publishers, Lindsy and Tanya. What have you all found as far as, and a lot of people are starting to self-publish now, a lot of authors, because even though traditional publishing is amazing, it's awesome if you can get that big engine behind you, but sometimes that can take quite a bit of time and all of that. But the work that you all do as publishers, I think in some ways, self-published authors can almost kind of be looked down upon because they didn't traditionally publish. What do you all say to the clients that you work with to help them to understand that self-publishing is just as important now, maybe a quicker way to get your message out to the market and all of that? How do you change with authors that you work with, how do you change the narrative as far as the services that you all provide to make sure that they're branded properly in the market and still looked upon as an expertise to kind of diminish that feeling that self-publishing is not on the same level as traditional publishing? What would you say to that? And this is for Lindsay and for Tanya.
That's a great question. So I really encourage authors to think about their why. We've talked about this before, why they want to publish and what's their story and message. And we look at the benefits of self-publishing and knowing that you have 100% ownership of that. And then we go through the whole journey of helping them to write it, publishing, looking at marketing, having a professional team around us to ensure that their message is being shared. And from the offset, authors do understand that, and it's making sure that they understand it, and then it's taking the steps and telling them that it's them that has to go on this journey. They have to promote it. They have to be knocking on those doors. And it's not, oh, I've finished, I've published it, but it's the journey afterwards, and that's when the real work begins. And that's what I encourage my authors to do.
Awesome, awesome. Lindsay, did you want to piggyback? Anything you want to share there?
Sure. So I think it's a great question that you asked in terms of kind of viewing the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing. I think my general message to that would be same mission, different method. Really, I think a part of it is really just educating authors on their choices. Traditional publishing may be right for someone. Self-publishing may be right for someone. I'm kind of like the sweet spot in the middle. Tanya sounds like she, is also kind of in that middle space. The idea that there's still professional wraparound, that we, professional editing, professionally designed book cover, professional registration, having a team of people to build on. So I echo that with Tanya. But I think getting to the core of kind of each author's end game, right? Because someone can have a perception that traditional publishing is the end all be all. But there are, again, just from an educational standpoint, there are traditionally published books that don't sell and don't make money. We go to places like, I know we're kind of several people here at the event are at different parts of the world, but here in Texas, we have a discount bargain type store called Dollar Tree. And so we've seen, there are books that have been traditionally published, and now the publisher is trying to mitigate their loss from a traditionally published book. And sometimes they've been well written and they have been edited very beautifully designed book cover, but it just didn't go well with kind of the readers. It didn't go well in market. And so they're not now trying to cut their losses. So I think, again, kind of the overall response I would have to the author initially would be, stay true to your mission, stay true to your message, but explore what method is right for one book. And often when you have an author who has published multiple books, they will have a mix. They'll have some self-published projects that they use for certain purposes, and they may have, kind of like, some titles that fit better in the traditional space. So I think the core of it is just education, but I would encourage every author to, spend the money on professional editing. I think a part of that negative perception and the negative connotation comes when you find so many self-published projects that have not had the professional editing to it, have those second looks. It hasn't been proofread properly. And so there's a general belief that it is substandard because people can now take, something they've been quote unquote journaling. Like I mentioned, my first book was a journal initially, but I did go through the process of having it edited, etc. But I think now that people they can bypass the professional support and upload a manuscript to Amazon. And a part of what I educate authors on all the time is like, look, Amazon's, they don't have any stake in how well this comes across to anybody. They're still going to get paid for every download. They won't get paid. They're going to make money. And this is not, the core of their business is not whether your book is professionally done. So it's not advantageous for you to take the, you know, or the absence of those checkpoints as, you know, proof that you should do it that way. So I'll yield, and I wanted to just add that little bit of context. Thank you.
And if I may, I wanted to add to what Lindsay was saying, and it's so right. It's different for everybody. And in my case, because I published different books, the first one I did all by myself, you know. Second one, it was already different. And then the third one, I worked with someone like you, Lindsay, someone who did the editing and who did the artwork and everything, and also did all the work, all the uploads in the right format, because sometimes people don't understand it has to be a specific format if you upload it to Amazon. And the third time I actually was my own publisher, so that was the first time that I have a published name or publishing name. So this time around, it's even different. It's a hybrid. It is all the traditional publishing, but more control with me. And most people, like what you mentioned, Lindsay, when you get a traditional publisher, first of all, everything has changed over the last few years. Now, unless you are a big name, you know, you have to be already established or like have huge following on social media, something that a traditional publisher can make money off, because that's what it is at the end. And so, like you said, it's different for everybody, but the most important part is start from your heart and then find the right support system and the right people that can get you where you want to go.
Absolutely. And thank you all so much, Tanya, Sabine, as well as Lindsay. So final question that I'm going to pose to this panel before we open up our breakout sessions. This is for the communication experts. So Dr. Laura and Natasha. When it comes to communication, and both of you all have given us a lot of great information as far as what to use as far as communication, as well as being sensitive to whether we're addressing diverse audiences. I would just say now, here in 2025, regardless of what side of the world that we're on, whether we're here in the US, we're in Hong Kong, we're in the UK, or wherever we are, we are in some bumpy times. We are in extraordinary times, regardless of where we are. From a communications point of view, and especially for the writers that may have already published, or for those who are aspiring, can you all tell us from your points of view, as quickly as you can, for those of us who are going to embark to either write future books, how important is it for us to use, or what type of communication skills or maybe tips that you can give us so that we are able to address the moments that we're living in right now, in a way not to exacerbate some of the things that we're going through in a tough time, but more so to bring some relief, regardless of what audience that we're talking to, because our diverse audiences, we're all suffering in one way or another, or we're facing some bumpy times. What would you all say for the writers on the line as far as how to communicate some relief to the challenges that we're experiencing right now? I know that was a long question,
Yeah.
but can you all address that really quickly to kind of bring us to a close to our panel?
I can share a few tips to help kind of focus on what we want to think about. And it's going to be leaning towards honoring our values. So instead of being triggered by what people are saying and what the media is choosing to push our way, is to talk more from our conviction, our beliefs, our values, and to choose the words wisely. So we're not triggering people, like not to use words that trigger or that alienate or divide. That for me is the bottom line.
Yes, thank you, Laura.
To add to what Laura said, I appreciate you saying that, Laura. Trying to stop the triggers, of course, definitely, and also amplifying the voice of different people, but in a way that is respectful and in a way that is, as you mentioned, not triggering. Still taking it, it's a balance, because you're taking into consideration different, if you're writing for different types of people, you're taking into consideration, and it depends on what type of writing you're doing. That's another thing, because some people engage in full confrontational writing, and if that's their style of writing, then they'll just take it head on. But some others might use a different curveball to get around the same thing. So I think it all depends on the type of writing as well that you're doing, But I do ascribe to what Laura said just now, of course.
I'd like to add to what Dr. Laura said, and I would say the biggest thing that we should focus on is clarity. Be clear in what you're writing, because people do not have you as an opportunity to come in and say, oh, well, what I really meant when I said that was, da-da-da. All people have are the words that you write on the page. So
that is true.
Clear.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And thank you all so much for giving that insight. I do have one more question. This question is for Bhag. I want to hear his voice one more time before we get off on our panel. As a first-time writer, we always are talking about the lumps, the bumps, and all of that. But I want you to talk to us. What have been some of your key wins since you have published your very first book? What has been some of your wins thus far?
Oh, great. Well, let's see. I have had individuals. I work actually full-time in IT, and I've had people that have found out about my book. They've purchased my book without me knowing, and being like, "Hey, Bob, can you sign this for me?" So it was just like, whoa, And then there was at some point. I mean, to be honest, like my book was published 2 years ago, but I forgot to mention a side note. In addition to doing my normal day job, which is IT, I also do voiceovers. So I've been so busy with voiceovers the past few years because a lot of projects have been coming my way where I haven't given my book as much attention. So I'm a little guilty of that. I'm kind of trying to jumpstart that. But essentially is, seeing like in the early days, like, okay, like my book was ranking maybe as it's not a bestseller or anything like that, but it did show up in some of the higher rankings on Amazon. So just those little bits of encouragement, like, okay, there is some potential. I think for me, what I'm really trying to focus on as I'm trying to rebrand and promote my book, aside from social media, is to be a bit intelligent about doing market research. So I recently, for example, I attended a webinar on customer segmentation, because I think at the end of the day, you have to find out, like many of others, like many have said on this call, like you have to know your why. Who is your target audience? Like how do you want your book to impact the most? So it's just the message I like to tell everyone is, look, I believe in incremental progress. I believe in organic growth, and I believe in celebrating the small wins. So while there will be days where maybe you have writer's block or you have some sort of challenges, it's okay. Keep going and celebrate the small wins, because that's how you're eventually going to get to your goal. So don't stop, and I hope that helps motivate everyone.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. But speakers and our panelists and our speakers, I want to say thank you all so much for giving us a little bit of this Q&A. That was so awesome. So we are winding down, ladies and gentlemen. I know we may have had a little bit of technology lumps and bumps, but hey, it happens. And but overall, we have had a wonderful and rich, powerful day on today, and we're getting ready to actually wrap up our main stage masterclass session so that we are able to engage and visit the breakout rooms for each one of our authors on today. So I'm so excited. So I'm hoping everyone is ready to get their shop on and all that kind of good stuff. And so, but before we do that, we have 2 giveaways that we're going to give away. We got 2 $20 gift cards for Books A Million for any of our guests that is attending on today. So let's give it up again for Lily Lou and for Tasha. Miss Tasha. for being our winners on today for 2 of the $20 gift cards from Books A Million. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an awesome time. This was a wonderful experience, and I'm so thankful to have been a part of this. Thank you so much for your time and your efforts on today. For those of you who are who have already written or you're aspiring to write, listen, the message that you have, it is God-given and it's necessary. The world needs it for whatever it is that you have to offer. The world needs what you have to offer. So don't hold on to it. The days of holding on to that information are over because it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to us. There's a certain type of relief, a certain type of solution that you need to deliver to the world so that you can leave your legacy that's going to live on for the next 1,000 years. So as far as this event right now, it has been, we are bidding you farewell. We're getting ready to open up the breakout sessions. From there, you are free to roam about the cabins as you feel free to do so you can engage with all of the authors. And once you're finished engaging and visiting the rooms, then you are most welcome to go. And keep an eye out to your emails because we will be following up with the recording for today so you can go back and re-engage. So we want to say thank you. We love you. We hope to see you again in the fall of 2025. I'm opening up the breakout sessions. Thank you for joining us today. It was such an honor to have you. Remember to check out Bhag's new book, Strike a Balance, Tips in Making Money and Saving Money to Build a Financial Safety Net. And be sure to connect with him on Facebook at Bhag Mirchandani. Also, take advantage of Lindsay's complimentary gift, The First 5 Moves to Market Your Book Like a Pro. See the bio for the important link to access this special gift. Also, you may contact Lindsay by visiting her website at www.tapwriting.com and also connect with her on Facebook at The Author's Pen. Now, authors, are you looking for another venue to add into your event repertoire? Well, mark your calendars for the upcoming International Authors Expo for the fall of 2025. This celebration of literature and creativity from around the world will convene via Cisco WebEx on Saturday, October 25th, 2025 from 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To learn more, visit teresakpagellc.eventbrite.com for event details and new dates for 2026. So we want to say thank you for joining in for this episode of the International Authors Expo replay series. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, here's to the journey, and let's move forward.